Have you noticed something kind of strange happening to your memory lately? It's like this bizarre digital amnesia where the spatial maps in your head just vanish. And it usually happens right when your phone battery dies, leaving you completely stranded, right? Well, today, in this explainer, we're going to look at the exact mechanism behind why your brain is actively deleting certain types of information. Plus, I'm going to reveal a surprisingly simple 10-second habit that can literally save your long-term memory. Okay, let's dive right into this. So think about your daily life for just a second. Could you recite your parents' or your partner's phone number right now? Honestly, most of us can't anymore, even though we call them every single day. Your phone stores it, so your brain quietly decided, hey, I don't need this. Or what about driving? You might have driven a specific route 50 times, but the second you don't have Google Maps open, you find yourself totally unable to remember the actual turn-by-turn directions. Look, you haven't lost your mind. Your brain has just completely outsourced its spatial map to the app. Now, for a long time, we kind of just thought this was a quirky side effect of modern life. But then came a massive 2024 meta-analytical review published in Frontiers in Public Health by researchers Gong and Yang. They synthesized the effects of heavy internet search behavior on our memory, and their pooled analysis confirmed that this Google effect is totally robust, highly consistent, and very measurable. It is absolutely not just a one-off finding. To put that into perspective, let's trace it back. In 2011, we had the original Google effect study. Fast forward a bit to a cluster of meta-analytic research in 2023 by Butker, Liebherr, and others. They found consistent, real memory deficits tied to heavy smartphone use and relying on external sources. Then in 2024, Gong and Yang confirmed just how robust this effect really is. And now, by 2025, researchers are seeing actual physical changes linked directly to our GPS and camera usage. The trajectory here? It's undeniable. Okay, but it actually gets worse. And hey, I really don't say that to be alarmist. I say it because the data absolutely demands our attention. We are moving way beyond just forgetting a piece of bar trivia or a phone number. Our everyday technology habits are beginning to physically impact the brain's core processing centers in ways we're only just now fully grasping. Take a look at this fascinating 2025 study by Fasoli and colleagues. They found that our habits of relying on GPS navigation and automatically snapping photos are externalizing our spatial and episodic memory. Meaning, it's not just random facts we're offloading. The researchers explicitly linked these specific habits to weakened processing in the hippocampus, which, if you didn't know, is the absolute central region of your brain for memory formation. The crazy results of all this? Your own lived experiences are literally becoming blurrier. So chronic digital reliance isn't just an isolated glitch. Several reviews point to reduced activation and structural changes, not just in the hippocampus, but in the prefrontal cortex and the anterior cingulate cortex too. Those are the areas tied to your focus and executive control. And the associated effects are wild. We're talking increased impatience, profound attentional difficulties, and even disrupted sleep patterns. This is a fundamental shift in how the human mind processes and holds on to information day to day. Now you might be wondering, well, we've all had smartphones for over a decade. Why is this cognitive shift becoming such a critical issue to care about right now? The answer lies in how the speed of our access to information has suddenly and pretty violently accelerated in just the last couple of years. Welcome to the new frontier. We call it the AI acceleration threat. Recent 2024 and 2025 research reviewing digital technology's cognitive effects found that AI chatbots are amplifying these exact same cognitive offloading patterns. Think about it. The new default habit is just ask the AI, and that's accelerating our memory outsourcing even faster than search engines did back in the 2010s. The friction of actually finding an answer, it's totally gone, and with it goes our brain's need to remember it. But here is where we really need a paradigm shift. Your brain isn't rotting. Seriously, it's not. It is actually highly efficient, and it's reorganizing. The core finding across all this research is a trade-off. We're developing weaker content memory, sure, but much stronger location memory. Think about the last time you scrolled past an interesting article. Days later, you can vividly recall the platform, roughly where it was on the page, maybe even the color of the post, but you've completely forgotten the actual content. Your brain is specifically deprioritizing facts in favor of what scientists call retrieval path storage. It perfectly remembers exactly where you saw it, just not what it actually said. But here's the big twist. A 2025 bibliometric review points out that this isn't purely a decline at all.
While the early research thought the Google effect was straightforwardly harmful, newer work suggests this strategic digital offloading can actually be adaptive. By pushing the raw data out of your head, your brain is actively trying to free up its limited mental resources for higher level thinking and problem solving. Psychologists call this transactive memory, and it's a mental strategy we've used for millennia. You already do this when you rely on a partner to remember the grocery list, or when you ask your spouse where your keys are. Your brain is simply treating Google, your GPS, and AI assistants the exact same way it has always treated a reliable person or a physical library. It sees them as an extension of your own memory system, happily outsourcing what simply doesn't need to be stored internally. So the honest summary is that your mind is shifting its effort away from storing content and putting that energy toward managing where that content lives. But that brings us to the real trap. And honestly, this is the most important question in this entire explainer. Are you offloading things you actually want to keep? Look, it's totally fine to offload the capital of some random country, but it's a huge problem when you accidentally outsource a key statistic for your big presentation or a new colleague's name without even noticing you've done it. So how do we fix this? Let's look at a few highly effective strategies grounded in the research. First up, rebuild your spatial maps by occasionally navigating blind. Just try navigating familiar routes without your GPS. Turn off those turn-by-turn instructions on a route you already half know. You have to force your brain to reconstruct its own spatial map instead of defaulting to a robotic voice every single time. It feels super uncomfortable at first, I know, but that discomfort, that is literally the feeling of your hippocampus going to work. Next, if it's something you genuinely want to keep in your own head, pick up a pen. We have to deepen the encoding process. Research consistently shows that handwriting your notes, rather than typing them out or just snapping a quick photo on your phone, engages a much deeper level of cognitive encoding. Information written by hand is remembered significantly better than information that is just captured digitally. And this brings us to one of the most replicated findings in all of psychology, the testing effect. Rather than just rereading or researching the same facts over and over when you forget them, you need to proactively quiz yourself on the information days later. This active recall directly counteracts the passive digital offloading we've been talking about. It essentially forces the brain to wake up and realize, oh wait, this is important. I actually need to hold on to this. Which brings us full circle to the promise I made at the very beginning of this explainer. What is the single daily habit you can start today to save your long-term memory from the Google effect and AI outsourcing? I promise it takes almost no time, but it changes absolutely everything about how your brain works. It's the rule of 10. Next time, before you search, before you type a question into Google, and before you ask an AI chatbot to fetch an answer for you, give yourself 10 to 15 seconds to genuinely attempt to retrieve the information on your own. Seriously, just sit there and try to pull it up from your own mental files. Memory researchers call this brief little pause retrieval practice. It is one of the most well-established ways to strengthen your brain's internal storage. And the best part? Even if you ultimately fail to remember the fact and have to look it up anyway, the sheer act of searching your own mind first primes your brain to encode the answer much more deeply once you finally see it. You are actively telling your brain that the internal search actually matters. At the end of the day, your phone and AI aren't necessarily making your memory worse. They are just highly efficient tools acting as transactive partners. But the default setting of our modern world is to offload everything instantly. So I'm going to leave you with this final thought to carry with you today. As you navigate the age of AI, look at the information flowing through your life and ask yourself, are you accidentally outsourcing the very knowledge, memories, and experiences that you actually want to keep?